the book of Genesis, chapter 49 and verse 19, Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last.
Roger Williams, founder of the First Baptist Church in America, in the mid-1600s, believed that indigenous people were not only fellow seekers, but that, quote, the Indians were probably of Jewish descent of the lost tribes of Israel. Roger Williams, founder of the First Baptist Church in America, in the mid-1600s, believed that indigenous people were not only fellow seekers, but that, quote, the Indians were probably of Jewish descent of the lost tribes of Israel.
All right, call hello, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakah Kodash. Once again, call hello, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakah Kodash. It's the brother of Baal Gabar from the Camp Prophets in Babylon. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone who do indeed teach well. All right, you see the title of the lesson. All right, Native Americans, the so-called Native Americans, are Hebrew Israelites from the tribe of Gad. Okay, in these last days, we are waking up to our heritage, our nationality. All right, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans make up the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, and you saw the post-production video was on, I believe this was the History Channel or one of these historical channels on TV. And I'm going to play it one more time. But, you know, this is, you know, the beans were spilt, man.
Roger Williams, founder of the First Baptist Church in America, in the mid-1600s.
So it said Roger Williams, the founder of the First Baptist Church in America, right?
Believed that indigenous people were not only fellow seekers, but that, quote, the Indians were probably of Jewish descent of the lost tribes.
All right, so Roger said himself that the Native Americans, the Indians, were of descent of the lost 10 tribes of Israel, which is very true. All right. You know, the lost 10 tribes of Israel, the Northern Kingdom, the so-called, you know, Native Americans and Latino tribes, all the way, you know, the so-called Puerto Ricans, all the way down to the so-called Mexicans, you know, the Dominicans, you know, all the Northern Kingdom tribes. Ultimately, actually, I'm going to do something real quick. Find this. I want to grab this. The Northern Kingdom was overcome by Esau, Edom, and so was the Southern Kingdom. All right. Let's see real quick. I guess I don't have it. All right, well, let me go ahead and read this one more time. Genesis 49 and 19, it says, Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome him at the last. Okay, and Gad today will make up of the Native Americans, the so-called Native Americans, come from the tribe of Gad of the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, the Lord said that we are his chosen people. Let me go to Deuteronomy real quick. Deuteronomy 7 and 6. This is what the Lord spoke concerning the Israelites. He said, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God, Yahweh Bashmi Yahweh Shai. The Lord thy God, Yahweh Bashmi Yahweh Shai, has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. All right. And right now, you know, it's not being taught in these churches who the Israelites truly are. All right. That's why you have the prophets, the men of the Lord, starting with the elders and apostles of the great millstone on down to these other Israelite camps, even, you know, out there teaching who the Israelites truly are. Okay. And this is biblical prophecy coming to pass, man. You know, Ezekiel 37, the dry bones being raised up. All right. The valley of dry bones going into the Israelites being raised up. All right. But I want to go here real quick. truth. This is 2nd Ezra 6:28. As for faith, it shall flourish, corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which has been so long without fruit, shall be declared. Okay, and part of that truth is that the so-called Native Americans come from the tribe of Gad, of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Okay, and right now the truth is being declared, you know, and the truth was so long without fruit, meaning it wasn't flourishing. But now this truth is being declared, you know, via the Rakak Kodash, via the elders and apostles, on down, the prophets, the men of the Lord. All right, and faith is flourishing. All right, you got a lot of Israelite foreigners, you know, cleaving to the house of Israel, man. Waking up in these last days, you know, taking on their true identity as being Hebrew Israelites. All right. And I'm going to say it one more time, that the true Hebrew Israelites are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans by the seed of your father. So you are what your father is. Pursuant to Numbers 1:18, you are what your father is. All right. Let me go ahead. Let me grab this. 2nd Ezra 6:27. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. All right. And there was a lot of deceit going on, you know, concerning the Israelites. You know, and that's why in Psalms 83, we're going to go there real quick. Psalms 83, Esau, Edom, you know, our number one enemy, the so-called white man. You know, when the scriptures say, Gad, a troop shall overcome him, the troop that overcame Gad is the so-called white man. Okay, when Christopher Columbus came here and he slaughtered the Native American Indians, the Taino Indians, you know, that's what that's talking about. A troop shall overcome him, but it says, but he shall overcome at the last. All right, that's Genesis 49:19. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. All right, and ultimately that's going to take place when Yahushua return, you know, and raise up his men. He got 12,000 Gadites on this earth, you know, so 12,000 so-called Native Americans on this earth that are going to be raised up in the last days with power, man. All right, so Gad ultimately will overcome. Okay, you know, Gad is pushed up in the reservations, you know. Hundreds of millions of Israelites were slaughtered by the hands of the so-called white man, and they think they're not going to have to pay for that, man. But like I was saying, Psalms 83, the scriptures label us, the Israelites, as the hidden ones. Psalms 83:2, it says, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. And you got to understand, the scriptures say, never trust thy enemy. So we have to understand that we have enemies, okay? Us Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, we have enemies. And our enemies are these other nations, man. The heathen nations, all right? It says, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. It says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones, okay? Why are we labeled as the hidden ones? Because our identity was stolen from us and hidden, okay? And these enemies, these heathens, they took crafty counsel. They got together and they, you know, pushed a falsehood and pushed, you know, false religion and history, you know. They said that you're no longer an Israelite. You know, you're black, African American, Puerto Rican, Cuban. Those are all bywords pursuant to Deuteronomy 28. Right? It says, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And that's what they did. They wanted to cut us off from being a nation. When they overcame us, you know, they separated the families. They would kill the chief, the Indian chiefs, separate the families, and, you know, indoctrinate the young ones. All right, the children. All right, the children would have to grow up, you know, following the ways of these damn heathens, man. All right, after the Israelites were overcome by, you know, Christopher Columbus, man. All right, which is biblical prophecy pursuant to Deuteronomy 28, that the Lord would send a nation against us, all right, for not hearkening unto his word and listening unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. It says, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. These damn heathens hate us, man. They don't got love for us, man. They wanted to cut us off, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. It says, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. Okay, meaning, you know, when they sit at these UN meetings and they got all these different nations together, you know, they might not agree on oil prices or different trade prices, but one thing they all agree on is to keep the Israelites at the bottom. To keep the Israelites thinking that they're black or Latino. Keep the Israelites in the ghetto. Okay, they have consulted together with one consent. It says the tabernacles of Edom, a so-called white man, the Ishmaelites, the Arabs, of Moab, the Chinese, and the Hagarenes, some Hamites, Jebal and Ammon, Japanese, all right, Amalek, which is the, you know, the chief head house of Esau, Edom, the ones that call themselves the Ish, all right, it says the Philistines and the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur is also joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot, Selah. All right, and that's the enemies that came up against the children of Israel, man. All right, so I'm going to play this one more time.
Israel. Roger Williams, founder of the First Baptist Church in America in the mid-1600s, believed that indigenous people were not only fellow seekers, but that, quote, the Indians were probably of Jewish descent of the lost tribes of Israel.
All right, and let's go here real quick. 2nd Ezra 13 and 40. It says, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their land, out of their own land, in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanassar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. Okay, because the 10 tribes, the northern kingdom, all right, was in captivity under the Assyrians. Okay, and we fled the Assyrian captivity. All right, it says, but they took this counsel among themselves. All right, the Israelites counseled among themselves, the 10 tribes. It says that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. Right, because you have to understand, before the Taino Indians, the Native Americans, the so-called Puerto Ricans, the Cuban, before we were on the west side of, you know, the world, we were over there in the east. Okay, you know, Native Americans didn't just pop up here in America. All right, we came from the east and we fled Assyrian captivity to the what is known as the Americas today. All right, it says that they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land, and they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow place of the river. For the Most High then shewed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. All right, so the Most High was showing signs, and actually there's accounts of Christopher Columbus seeing so-called UFOs or chariots, you know, and same thing with the Israelites being led by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right, it says, for through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. So it took a year and a half, all right, to get to America, all right, from the east, all right, from the Assyrian captivity. All right, and they entered into the Euphrates. It says, for through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsareth. All right, and we're reading Esdras. Okay, and there's actually a movie that came out. I don't know the name of the movie, but there's a movie that shows you that Christopher Columbus, he actually read the book of Esdras, you know, to follow the Israelites to this land over here. All right, known as America today. All right. So Arsareth, that's America. Okay. And King Solomon actually made this trip too. You know, let me go here. It says 3 years. Here we go. First Kings 9:26, and King Solomon made a navy of ships in Eziongeber, which is beside Eloth, on the shore of the Red Sea in the land of Edom. You see, so scriptures say Jacob is the former of all things, and I'm kind of jumping around, so Lord willing, you know, this is in the spirit edifying. But even during King Solomon's reign, he had a navy. All right. So, you know, Esau gets all his ideas really from Jake, you know. The first navy came from King Solomon, man. All right, it says, and King Solomon made a navy of ships, all right, on the shore of the Red Sea in the land of Edom. And Hiram sent in the navy his servants, shipmen that had knowledge of the sea, with the servants of Solomon, and they came to Ophir and fetched from thence gold 420 talents and brought it to King Solomon. This land of Ophir is the land of America. Okay. It says 1 Kings 10:22, for the king had at sea a navy of Tharshish with the navy of Hiram. Once in 3 years came the navy of Tharshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory, and apes and peacocks. So King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. All right, so once in 3 years, which we just read that the trip to Arsareth from the east was 1.5 years. So that's 1 year, 1.5 years there and 1.5 years back. All right, King Solomon had a navy during his time. All right, you know, fetching gold from the land of Ophir, which is known as the land of America. All right, but that's just some, you know, just some knowledge. So let me read. I want to go here real quick. Baruch, chapter 2. Baruch 2 and verse 29, it says, if you will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations, where I will scatter them. All right, and that's what happened. We didn't listen to the words of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai being spoken of by the prophet Moses. Okay. You know, the Lord was speaking through Moses to the children of Israel, and we didn't listen, and ultimately the curses came upon us. Okay, and the reason why the Native Americans were overcome by the so-called white man is because of their disobedience, you know, to the Most High of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, and ultimately it was prophecy. Okay, it was prophecy that the Native Americans, the Israelites as a whole, will be overcome by this devil. But ultimately we would overcome him at the last. All right. But it says, verse 30, for I knew they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. All right, Israel, very stiff-necked and hard-headed people. You can't tell Jake nothing. It says, but in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves. So now is the time to remember ourselves, okay? Our history, where we come from, All right. When the Lord walked the scene, he didn't come with Christianity. Okay. Matthew 15:24, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. The Lord is sent for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. All right. And the so-called Native Americans are Israelites from the tribe of Gad. It says, but in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves. So you got Israelites waking up all over the earth right now. So-called Native Americans waking up to being, Israelites from the tribe of Gad. So-called Negroes waking up being Israelites from the tribe of Judah. So-called Puerto Ricans, Israelites from the tribe of Ephraim, all the way down to the so-called Mexicans being Israelites from the tribe of Issachar. All right? The 12 tribes of Israel. Baruch 2:31. And they shall know that I am the Lord their God, for I will give them an heart and ears to hear. And that's a blessing. Right now we're getting, the insight. The Lord has given us all the answers through the Rakah Kodash, putting us in remembrance of who we are. All right. It says, and they shall praise me in the land of their captivity and think upon my name and return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds, for they shall remember the way of their fathers, which sinned before the Lord. All right. It says, and I will bring them again into the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they shall be lords of it, and I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished. You see, that's the ultimate outcome. That's what's ultimately is going to take place is, the Israelites are going to be set up on high. The Lord's going to set us back in our own land, the land of Jerusalem. All right. And we're going to be lords over it. It says, and I will make an everlasting covenant with them to be their God, and they shall be my people. And I will no more drive my people of Israel out of the land that I have given them. All right. And that's ultimately going to take place. All right. But right now we got Jake that's waking up. So Lord willing, this was, just quick and straight to the point and edifying. All right. We are remembering ourselves. All right. Gad, a truth shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. All right. So with that, call hello, Yahweh Shai. Until next time, Shalom.